smoke a dart.
Oh yeah, the Canadian internet. We won the lottery, guys. We're back online, eh? We're live today on the Metal Lab. We're joined by a guest. Let's go through our guests as we go into the show. I am joined by Ontario 2017 ROC Provincial Champion of Ontario, Mike White. Spoiler alert for later in the episode. I'm joined as well by our usual Mike Payne.
Hey.
And I'm joined by the floating head that is Jay Solomon today. He's on hotel internet access, so don't expect to see his camera face.
Oh, hi there.
And I just, before we get into the show, for those of you on our Patreon or interested in our Patreon, we've just added a new feature. We now have a Discord server. Feel free to jump in there if you are a patron. Find us, troll us through the Metal Lab Troll text channel. I'm going to open up a pre-show and a post-show channel. If any of the guys want to join in on that, I'm going to jump in there on a regular basis before and after shows, and we'll do regular events that we'll announce on our Patreon through that. There'll be some special content just for you guys who are opening up your wallets to help us out. So, I've been sitting on this for a while, and I'm excited to get it going. So if you're in there, troll us all you want in the Metal Lab troll chat, and I will probably throw some of those things out there, so be forewarned. All right, but without further ado, this was the second weekend of the ROC Provincial and State Championships, and Jay and the Mikes here were wonderful enough to play in them while I was judging the Ontario Championships.
So judgy.
I was so judgy. So we're going to go in a wacky order, as I like to get the last, the person who placed the highest to go to the last, and nobody placed low in this chat. So when I start with Mike Payne, do not discount how he did. He did fairly well. But Mike.
I am the worst of us. I did pretty well. I had a really good time. It was a really well-oiled machine of an event. You did well, along with Aiden helping you out, one of our local judges. And I had a really good time. I did. What did I place? Sixth, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sixth or fifth or sixth, somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere in there. I think it was sixth. I am happy with that. And I'm happy that the only person that I lost to twice was none other than Mike White. So that's not such a bad thing when you lose the guy who wins the whole thing. Yeah. And I really enjoyed, because Mike is kind of my practice partner, and so it was great to sit behind him while he was finished, like after he eliminated me. Great to sit behind him and actually watch him at work and try to project. No, pick this power. Pick it, please. It will save your life, and you will win the game. And then he picks the power. You're like, that was me. No, it wasn't. It was all Mike. Mike doing what he does well, because he's a great player. I'm also really happy that he won this one, because I know that you're due. Yeah, you were due for a big win. So were you, Jason, last weekend. So I was really happy to see you guys both do so well. In terms of the gameplay itself, we had 5 rounds of Swiss, followed by a cut to top 8. That's pretty good. That's a lot of gameplay. It's a lot of rounds. That's 8 rounds for you, Mike. I guess I'll take you quickly through it. I played with 35-point Retaliation Dormammu, 2 35-point Alan Scott Green Lanterns, for the barrier effect, of course. Nobody can touch me except for maybe Cosmic Spider-Man, who never ever touched me in this entire tournament. I was very surprised, especially since one of my later opponents had him as a call-in, and just I think he forgot about it. It happens. So yeah, those guys, along with fully loaded Jakeem, that's the term, for the Supreme Intelligence with Eclipso on Jakeem Thunder. And what else do I have? I had the level 7 ID with Nick, the Green Arrow ID with that Green Arrow, of course. And last but not least, I had the Atom ID card. I debated putting on some of the new terrain to see if it would help me, because I saw what Mike was doing. He'll tell you all about that in a little bit. I won't spoil it for you. But he did something really interesting with the jet. So, yeah, great rounds. First guy that I faced I think he was a newer player. I'm not sure where he was from exactly. This guy, Dave. but he was playing with what was he playing with? He was playing with a kind of good stuff team, just a bunch of things thrown together, and he didn't really know how my team worked, so that worked to my advantage. And after the game was finished, I can't remember exactly what his team was. I'm very sorry about that. But after the game was finished, I was able to actually take him through it and tell him what my guys all do, so that he could have a better next round against somebody else. But also just a couple of the mistakes that he made because he was newer. So I think it's good to take time and actually teach people when there is the opportunity. So I also faced Dan Upham from Windsor. He's been in and around for a long period of time, and we always have really, really close matches. He played Sam Captain team, so it's the new ROC team essentially. So I've seen that team where it's Sam Cap with Overdrive and a couple other supporting pieces and some more damage, etc. But he played it. It was interesting because it was Sam Cap with Renatilli. So he gets around a lot of my barrier stuff. So I had to turtle really hard to get him across the field, and then make enough points to be able to take the whole thing in the end. But yeah, so Renatilli with Batroc the Leaper. The Leaper, yeah. And he also had Karen Page, fantastic. And I'm trying to remember if there was anything else in there. Oh yeah, Mini Shredder. So a little bit of passive damage, easy to throw around, extra carry, etc. And the Sam Cap thing of adding +3 to your movement of your vehicle essentially is pretty awesome. Yeah, so he was able to cut across the field after a couple turns of me just turtling and barrering up, and he came over and he killed one of the Alan Scott, or he killed Dormammu and then one of the Alan Scotts, and I managed to retaliate and kill. I can't remember exactly what it was. Oh yeah, and he threw the tank. He had the mini tank as well, which is still pretty good. It's not horrible, not as good, but still pretty good. Threw it out there and displaced me, etc. I used the call-in Green Lantern or Green Arrow ID to take out Batroc and then kill the tank, and all I had left at that point was Jakeem Thunder, and I just withstood his attacks until the end, like in regen, and withstood until the end of the match. That was I think that was my favorite match out of the whole thing because it really took a lot of doing in order to get there. Although I'm not unfamiliar with turtling.
You?
Point denial. What?
Get out of here.
Yeah, my final match of the morning. I know I'm skipping over somebody, but I can't remember offhand. My final match of the morning of the before the cut to top 8 was against Jason Osario, who was playing with another Jakeem team with Mr. Mixie and Laughing Joker, or Ha 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 Joker, as everybody likes to say. And it was a fully loaded Jakeem as well with a few ID cards, including that Cosmic Spider-Man, which he forgot about. And so I spent most of my first couple turns thinking, oh crap, he's going to get that attack off anyway. So let's prepare and position in such a way that he's going to try to go for Jakeem at least, because you can recover from that, right? With regen, etc. But no, he didn't. And so it was just a really strategic barrier maneuvers on my part. And then he managed to get, he killed Dormammu. And then I managed to position in such a way that I could do a hypersonic all the way down the field to kill off his Mixie, who is near the end of his dial anyway. And that was actually last round, and I was second. So, yeah, that was last action. Lots of fun there. Round 1, cut to top 8. I faced Mike. What's that?
Well, you faced in the Swiss, too.
Yeah. That's the guy.
That's the guy you forgot in the Swiss, the guy who won.
That was my 4th round in the Swiss, was against Mike. And
he's not spiteful at all.
It's very standoffish. Like with our two teams, they're equally matched, and we had practiced a lot together. And I'd beaten him a few times with it, but I overextended. He took advantage of it and took the win with very few points in that particular case. I think you killed Dormammu in that. Yeah, and then in our second matchup, in the top 8 round 1 matchup. We both knew not to do anything where we're putting ourselves out there. Barrier, positioned properly, because the difference between our teams is mine's a barrier team and yours is a TK team. In comparison, double pick of power, and so without giving it all away before he can tell you what he had. And so what ended up happening is neither one of us took any points. It was a 0-point tie. And so Jason's like, shock the turtle, man. And there goes Dormammu.
Okay.
And we were like, hold on. And then
it's been a year since I judged a ROC event, so I hadn't quite updated myself on the new ROC rules. And then we did the shock the turtle initially. I counted for the kill Dormammu, and then I double checked the ROC rules just to be sure. And they also had rolled off anyway. Yeah. So I was like, okay, you guys did roll off. Who won?
Yeah. No, we did that. That's my point, is that we were like, oh, let's just try it anyway. We tied on our roll-off 2 7s. And then and then I thought, well, wait a minute. This is what I win at, is rolling off. We're talking about ROC Worlds a couple years ago when I won 2 roll-offs in the cut to top 32. And then he won the second roll-off. So yeah, that's cool. He went on to win the whole thing, so no spite on my end.
All right. Next up, Jay made a trip all the way to Las Vegas, Nevada for his second attempt at a States Championships. And let's see if he can get his mic unmuted in order to tell his story. Jay?
Oh, I was just going to talk into muted the whole time. Was that okay with you?
I'd rather you didn't. Just because.
Yeah, so apparently I can only do well in Vegas. I don't know what it is. It's like reverse luck where I manage to win probability-based games. I don't know how it works. So I ran with a very similar version of my last week team, which was good old my favorite Chair Joker with Brainiac for Sidestep, the awesome mid-dial Pulse Wave that can give out 2 action tokens like Mixie, Outwit, Regen, lots of good stuff. As well as Ha Joker at 50 points with Proteus, because those stats need to get kicked up a notch, and of course any Exiles piece deserves a place on my teams. I also had a Thug for themey goodness, because as opposed to the Joker Thug, he adds to my theme and has some slight benefits as opposed to what the Joker Thug does. I complemented all of these characters that are already hard enough to kill with the Boxing Ring, and then on top of that, I finished off with a Teleporter, this time with, in order of placement, if I recall correctly, Adam for the Colossal, and no other options, Green Arrow ID for just the Chase, who got used, I think, only once, even after I borrowed and lugged him all the way here. Level 7 for Nick and Peggy, Spider-Man for Cosmic and Superior, most of the time. It ended up being a 50-50 split. What was the other one? Superman for the last awesome call-in, which never happened, but that Invincible on a Joker is the most annoying thing. And Swordsman, because the ADW Rare Swordsman is amazing as a call-in, and that Swordsman, or the Inspiration, which is Blades, and if they already have it, they can use Flurry. Works amazingly, because Chair Joker starts with Blades. So Flurry on that with the 2 action tokens thing is fantastic. And then alternately gets Flurry or Blades on his dial. So essentially getting it on 4 out of 12 clicks with an 11 attack on a 50-point impossible to kill character is great. So round 1 was against Dustin Hall, who I played against twice in the US Cup last year. He was running the Invisible Jet, Sam Cap, Al Jordan, and instead of a Morlock, he had a Ravager, because he forgot that the Ravager generic has 2 clicks, which kind of interferes with the whole idea of popping out Proteus quickly. So basically what ended up happening is I just let him stay in the starting area to set up his jet. I moved up into my ring. He made a big hypersonic attack after we had both been set up. He hit I think he punched through one of the clicks. Then he followed up with Sam. I followed up. It went back and forth with him not being able to, although the jet has precision strike, Chair Joker is immune. So it was basically just him trying to punch through which is never a good thing. So I ended up killing his Al Jordan, I scored the Ravager, of course, which Proteus popped out and then started piloting, and the jet itself, because surprisingly, it is not as easy to punch through as, say, the Quinjet. And he ended up scoring about 35 points. I'm not exactly sure what. Round 2 was against. I'm trying to pull it up. Oh, Tony Rodriguez, who was a California player, so of course plays with Pat every week, is very good. He was playing Title Strange with Eclipso and Supreme Intelligence, Shifting Focus, Doctor Strange, Alan Scott, Green Lantern, Al Jordan, and Boxing Ring. He ended up being the only player to beat me that day, and then ended up winning the event. So I wasn't that upset about the loss that I had in this round, which was basically it's hard to chase down an Al Jordan just because he can carry the other character, and then the other character can carry him. So they can do attacks and retreat. It's very strategic and stuff. So I ended up getting some points off of him. He ended up killing, I think, a call-in of mine, and as well as some other points to end the game 205 to 85. Round 3. Oh, I guess I should mention this was 4 rounds, cut to top 8 with 17 people. Round 3 was against I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm going to mispronounce it. Abelardo, who was playing Peter the Hunter, a symbiote, Clarion, Retaliation, Colossal Wonder Woman, an Ape Pug, and I really can't remember. I'm missing a bunch of points on his build. This ended up being a case of he has a lot of Pogs and Teakle. I have Poison on Chair Joker. He needs to roll his 6 blades to even cut through one of the ha-ha-ha's clicks. So this would end up being an easier game. Although he basically did what he could in the matchup. So I ended up winning, wiping, and he took 25 points, probably from like a couple ID cards and 1 click on ha-ha-ha. So I'm going into round 4. I know I need to win, or at least get significant points to make the cut, because it was only a few 2-2s get in. This next round was against Saul Gonzalez, who was playing Rennet Tilly, the Taxi, Venom Pool, with, I don't think with anything attached, Common Cable from Deadpool and the X-Force, Fast Force's Domino from Cable and the X-Force, and a couple ID cards, the standard ones. So this ended up being, he essentially got 50, I think he got 1 line off on the Joker, because he was dealing like 6 damage because he had enhancement on Venom Pool, and I couldn't counter prob, and he had like 3 probs. He got 1 of the lines. So I had positioned so he couldn't, to outwit the special movement power on Rennet Tilly, so he couldn't run away with those points. To basically make him have to fight me, not just run away. And it ended up leading to a victory in my favor. Although he actually managed to KO Joker, which is just a fantastic feat, especially considering that he was at 50 points. So I ended up being secure in my 3-1, and then we go into the first round of top 8. This was me versus Joe Kennedy. He was playing Jakeem with Brainiac, which is a little risky considering 7 clicks on Brainiac versus 8 clicks, but if you're at click 8 with Jakeem, you're not winning that game, almost definitely. As well as Goblin King at lowest points with Eclipso, Retaliation, Dormammu, and nothing else extra on the side. This ended up being basically, we both kind of creep up, he sidesteps up, I get into my ring. He sets up an outwit on the Mastermind on Chair Joker, do a bit of a hit, doesn't even get into a stop click. I retaliate with the Atom, and then he's pushed at that point. I call in the Atom, hit both of his characters, so Jakeem has 6 clicks left. I call in Nick the next turn. I roll a crit hit to deal 6 because I had done the plus 1 to damage from the trait, shield power action on the Thug, and then so that's 5 damage. But I rolled a crit hit to just kill his Jakeem, and at that point the game was basically over. So it was just a matter of cleaning up. And he got some points from ID cards, I think. He played it about as well as he could have, considering that Jakeem needs extra help with like ID cards or something to deal with that Joker, but he had none. So the next round was against probably one of the best teams that I was afraid of at in the particular event, which was Jakeem with Eclipso and Jean Grey, because just do those call-ins, man. Just call those dudes in. He also had a Serpent Punisher. He had a Mirror Droid, and he had Colossal Wonder Woman Retaliators, full teleporter. So this became a game of Jay going full Tom, which meant calling an ID card character and somehow doing a situation where I can then take them off the map. So it was like Chair Joker Tiny with the Adam Inspiration, do a call in, carry him with Ha 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 Joker, that's gone. And then another similar one with like a running shot with somebody. So I killed, and then I had an Adam retaliation, then he sidestepped out. So at that point in the game, I had KO'd his Wonder Woman and his Serpent Punisher, I believe, as well as he used an ID card for Nick, I think, or something. So then the game basically ended up being he needs to play catch up. I'm sitting on like 30 points, but I'm okay with it because I know there's not really much he can do with just Jakeem, essentially. And no fear of retaliators, really, because I didn't need to be tackled by actual characters. But then I made a mistake, and I went greedy. I went to kill the Jean Grey with Chair Joker. Although it was on a turn where I believe Jakeem was pushed, so he wouldn't be able to actually attack me after the awesome wrestling throw that the Mirror Droid has. So he throws me into the ring next to Jakeem. I'm on the stop click. I follow up by moving Ha 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 Joker next to Joker in such a way that he wouldn't be able to force blast, knockback damage me, or any sort of shenanigans. And then I had gone first. They called last action, and it was his Jakeem who could do literally nothing to me. So that ended up going 85-10 because he got some 2 ID cards. So then we go into the last match, which was again against Tony with the same awesome mystical team. I did slightly better. This one, he KO'd 30 points. I follow up by killing his Green Lantern. So it's 35-30. And it's like at least halfway through the game. And then he's all the way on the other side of the map because he had to basically abandon his Green Lantern. So he has to rush across the other side of the map to kill my thug, which he does. And then basically there's not much I could do because I messed up the map choice in that game, and that one, picking the office for some cover, but it ended up being that he was able to blow up walls and do some stuff to take stuff out. So if I could do over again, it might have been different, but I was at least happy that the results were a little better. So I ended up getting second in the event. I got the standard map, and the venue had actually thrown in the choice of a full Civil War grand prize kit or what if brick. Winner picks first. So I ended up walking away with a whole brick for free. So that was pretty awesome on We Play West and great store in Las Vegas where the U.S. Cup was last year. A very well-run event, a lot of good opponents. It seems like there's a lot of newer players here, but from what I saw, there's a lot of people who are going to be hearing about it in the future. A lot of potential here, so it was a great time here.
Good thing to hear that you did so well, Jay. Glad that you got out to another event, even though you were out of country. But let's go on, Mr. Mike White, the man who took Ontario. Tell us the story, sir.
Hello. It was a lucky day for me. I got to say right away, we say it all the time that practice makes your team better, and 100%, this is a great example of that. Had a lot of opportunity to work on a couple of different teams and really settled on this one. Knew this was the right direction to go. I played, so you can see Supreme Intelligence, so everybody knows it. And I went with Al Jordan with Brainiac, so another picking power kind of combination. And then I threw on the Invisible Jet terrain gun. I kept reading it. It was really interesting to me. The idea of it being blocking for movement but hindering for line of fire, because that way, you can stand behind it and stealth helps you out, but you can TK through it, and it's a good way to help overdrive Doc Ock / Reddit Tilly Shredder Elite move, with Sam Wilson, Cap, that whole, all of a sudden I'm across the map in your face, getting next to you. Anyway, my first round opponent was Adam Long. I got very lucky with that matchup, not just because of what his team was compared to what my team was, but for map roll, playing Chair Joker, Ha 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 Joker, Swarm, and Brainiac, I believe he had on Swarm. I think so. And then, weirdly enough, he had a teleporter, but he only had one ID card on. And he had KC Superman as his colleague at full points. So I'm not sure why. I guess he thought maybe the Jokers would survive and keep taking damage. The teleporter would move quickly, but well. I picked Crossfire Canyon, and I put the airplane right in the middle over the space between the two sections of water, and one away from the stairs on my side. And then I threw some objects in front of the stairs as well. So I pretty much made it hard for him, near impossible for him to get across that canyon easily, at least not without. And I made sure to TK Yakeem across the map, running shot, single target, pulse wave, swarm, and I killed him on turn 3. Played the back and forth game where I just kept jumping back and forth across the canyon, making him waste actions to get to me. And then I would pick running shot, energy explosion with Al Jordan. So I would target Air Joker, 6 damage to him, 2 splash damage, while he was masterminding all of that to Ha 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 Joker. Ha 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 Joker was taking 8 clicks of damage, and I just kept getting tokens off of him. He got them separated, and I took out Chair Joker. The whole match was pretty much mine to win. He had luck really with pairing and positioning for him. My second round opponent was Devin Owens, a local player, really good local player. Times with a lot of good teams that he's made. He was running Al Jordan with Brainiac. Zatara. Not Zatara. And I always forget. Which one's the dad? Zatara, yeah. So Zatara and the resurrecting Green Lantern, super rare from Elseworlds, and Dormammu, Colossal Italian. Game, he picked map, but I managed to still find some indoor positioning, and I put the jet in such a way that people can't get to me. I use walls existing with it, so I sort of have a back way into a room, and I put it in front of a doorway, and then I could still TK somewhere to sort of run and hide back in. First attack in, I knew I was extending myself a bit, but I felt confident because I was using the whole perplex, using Al Jordan's perplex on Yakeem's attack every turn. Turn 2, I was already getting the +2. I felt a 13 attack on Al Jordan, and single target pulse wave was going to get him. So I ended up using, I think I used one of my pickup powers to pick Perplex to boost Yakeem's damage up 1 to 5 to make sure that I killed Al Jordan with 1 hit. Threw him out. 5. I think rolled like a 4. I missed by 1, which is pretty classic, Mike. He nailed me for a pulse wave of his own. He put Yakim on almost his last click. I had to quick sidestep and pull him back to the other side of the plane. And I was trying to save him. I was trying to regen. I failed the roll that I needed to get significant help on him. Owen now was in my face with his Al Jordan. He TK'd him through the jet. And all of a sudden, the dice shifted, and he crit missed on what should have been a kill on Yakim. And then I started coming back after him aggressively. Managed to take out Al Jordan, and then I came around. I took out the Green Lantern immediately after that to make sure that she couldn't bring anybody back. And pretty much we got to time. I think he ended up taking my Al Jordan, but I still had the team, and I won that one on points. It was pretty close. And my third round match was James McMaster, I believe is his last name. He was playing a really interesting team. Don't really know everything that's going on with it when you first look at it. He had Rat King, I believe Brainiac as the possessor on it. He had Hell Cow, Clone Shredder. Through the
That's good.
Yeah, through the for Clone Shredder to pick up, of course. It's a great idea, to always be able to break away, and that shape change is huge. Ray, it's 25 points. I, again, one map roll. That +2 from Mystical Team really can come in handy when rolling the dice. I picked the Office. It's really where my team shines because of the whole jet in one of those back offices, blocking off 2 doorways, and I make it impossible really for anybody to get to me with any kind of alpha strike, but I can just TK right through the plane and come after you with Yakim. Ray really far back, which was a mistake. The walls are already in my favor, and I was never within the 8 range for him to ever even pick one of my guys to prevent them from attacking. Pulse waved Rat King early. Regen roll. I was pretty much owning that game. I pretty easily. He got in on me a little bit and did some damage, but the maneuverability and the picking the powers, it was a pretty straightforward win for my team. Now was my battle with Mike, which he mentioned. Helmate type game. I once again got lucky with map roll, and I picked the Office again. With positioning and the way it played out, really, I knew that I had to make that attack on Dormammu as soon as I had a chance to, because I was never going to be able to get to these other guys. I shot at him, I think, midway through the game. I got him. I got those 35 points. And then we just kept playing the positioning game. And, of course, I won with only 35 points. And then my last game of Swiss was against Derek Rutan, I believe is how you say his name. His team was really frustrating and had been stymieing people all day. He played super rare Penguin, the Fast Forces Penguin, Lex Joker duo at 75 points. The Two-Face, the one where you roll to heal one and then you them to roll a d6 and you potentially move them. 3 of the Harlequins that have stealth and perplex. So his team is tons of perplex. And also, Supreme Intelligence on Two-Face. So the whole gist of his team is that he's popping out these penguins, souping them up with the rest of his team with all these perplexes, and then he keeps making the free attack with sharing the Penguins' attack value, the free attack to get the loyalty token off of the Fast Forces Penguin, the trait on the super rare Penguin to move the Penguins for free. So next thing you know, you've got this pulse waving Penguin all the way across the map in your face, and he's got like 12 attack doing 4 damage with pulse wave.
Thank you.
Very effective. I knew about it because, you know, it was by the time you got to round 5, people are talking about teams and you have ideas in your head of what to do. We both knew that we were into the top 8. We were both at 4-0 at this point. We both had really solid amount of points. So we both were, well, I know for myself, I was playing it out more as a testing thing to sort of see what was going to happen. So I was very aggressive with the team. I threw them all the way across the map. I took out super rare Penguin. I did some splash damage with energy explosion to some of the Harlequins that were standing around and that Fast Forces Penguin. You know, Lex Joker duo is right next to Yakim, me with like a 12 or a 13 attack, doing 6 damage duo attack. Me again, Yakim's gone. Like, whoa, that's not good. But he actually starts being aggressive. He's moving across the map after Al Jordan, which works out well for me because he is picking in powers. I'm right by the edge of the Manhattan Bridge, and I'm pulse waving and then sidestepping off the bridge so he can't get to me. And then I'd sidestep back up, pick poison some guys. So if time hadn't run out, I might have actually won that game. Kept coming at me, and I was taking points. So, but I ended up losing it. It wasn't a big deal. I finished 4th after Swiss, and that's put me in top 8 cup. And then, as Mike already mentioned, we faced each other in the first round of the top 8.
Yep.
Big game. I made 1 attack on him that missed. Came in on me and should have wiped out Al Jordan with an ultra heavy object, and
yeah, it was really
I got lucky. We're not our friends right out of the gate. Missed and probbed and missed again, really on a hit that he absolutely should have got. Now Al Jordan, and that pretty much would have been the win for him. I escaped it. He took some damage, but I didn't take him out. I ran away. We healed our Yakim's back up to full health. Game went to tie game, and as we mentioned, we rolled off. We tied again and rolled off, and I luckily won that roll off. So, which was bittersweet.
Dice, man.
Yeah, those rock dice were mean. I mean, we didn't roll them a lot in our game, to be fair.
No.
A lot of attacks, but and then my next opponent, so top 4, was Derek Rutan again. So here I am now, another rematch from the Swiss. I'm grateful to the Swiss round and the loss to him because of the way I lost to him. I figured out how to beat him. I knew that I couldn't be aggressive like that. That with all these perplexes and what I was able to make his numbers huge quickly. And he could take out one of my guys very easily in 1 turn. So I played very far back. He got Manhattan Bridge again, far enough that he was only ever to get 1 attack. He did manage to put Al Jordan as last click with a pulse wave. That was a tough one. He made some bad choices at times. Like he popped out one of the running shot Penguins at one point, so I kept picking stealth. So he was never able to finish off Al Jordan. Trying to regen with Al Jordan, I'd roll a 3. I'm like, I need more than 1. I'd prob it, then I'd roll a 2. So it was pretty frustrating. Like, I'm on death's door here. I got to get this guy back. Eventually, I did get him a couple of clicks in. I was picking invulnerability. I was shutting down his stuff. had a plan. I had a plan the whole time to just wait him out, because I was the second player. Playing with last round. I could survive to the last round with both my guys. All I had to do was pick out Perplex up my attack, the +2. Pick TK with Al Jordan, running shot Pulse Wave with Yakeem, and tag one of his guys. That's what ended up happening. I threw him out. I managed to Pulse Wave Two-Face, who had taken a click of damage from pushing. Hit him for, I believe it was 4 or 5. It was enough to kill him. And so literally last action, my last chance, everything I waited the whole 45, 50 minutes for to do. And thankfully I had a big attack because I just hit. He made me re-roll it. One of his twins was within 6 and was able to prob it with Team Prob. But thankfully I hit it, killed him, and that one kill was the only points in the game. So to redeem my loss, my Swiss loss to the only person I lost to in the day. And then my last game, once again, another rematch from Swiss was James McMaster again with the Rat King team. James, same thing. He learned a lot from his loss against me in the Swiss. I could see it right away. I did get map choice again. I went with the exact same strategy, the office, put the plane in the room, create my little box to hide in. He put the Ray way more far forward to utilize that whole 8. But unfortunately, he was still not far enough to pick any of my guys early on. So I immediately went for the Ray to kill him, to take him out, retreated back. He moved his team up. I got a single target pulse wave on Rat King to hurt him. But then that cost me. Yakeem was left out there. In Power Girl, charged on me with an ultra heavy. I didn't make the roll I needed to, the impervious roll. So I took a chunk of damage. He Shredder eluded me. He got Yakeem basically onto his last click. And I was in trouble. I think I tried to regen. I picked poison. I did a little bit of damage. I tried to regen, failed it. I pulled Yakeem back with some TK from Al Jordan. He came right after me. Yakeem died. And I thought that was it. I thought it was all over. But you just got to keep playing it out. I'd taken some points from him. I think he had like Hell Cow. I just finished killing Hell Cow with some poison. So he had a hurt Rat King, and he had Clone Shredder on like I think his second thing. Full health Al Jordan. So we do some positioning. He's got shape change on Rat King, and he's also outside of the room behind Clone Shredder. I pick Giant Size and Battle Fury. I reach over the top, punch Rat King, kill him. I take some Mystics. He gets on me with Shredder. I take Shredder Elite, and then I just always keep picking Invincible. I'm not going to let him Shredder Elite me anymore. I'm just going to keep picking Invincible, and I start retreating because I'm up on points. This is super tight. He's got 81 points left on the map. I've got 115 points left on the map. So phase teleport away, backing up. I go to pulse wave him at one point. I miss. I'm able to sidestep out of the room. I was getting pulse wave from Brainiac, and I was able to still pick Invincible. I'm just picking pulse wave and Invincible, pulse wave and Invincible. I thought about, but then I remembered that he could turn into the shark. So I couldn't do that. Like, it felt like such an easy way to get this passive damage, but the shark coming out would have been death for me. He would have hit me with the shark. He was really hurt with Clone Shredder. I got him on like 9 attack and regen or something. But for a second, I looked at Jay and I'm like, if I pulse wave him, does the clone shark come in? And he's like, no, because you ignore it. He comes out after me again. He can't Shredder Elite me. I pulse wave again. I managed to hit him. That was it. I won. And I was so done. I mean, again, when that Yakeem died, I thought it's all over. I screwed up or something, but I mean, it was a fun ride, and it was awesome. So much respect to James for playing that team.
Yeah, it was a really cool team.
I think my favorite part was Mike described the finals and said the words, "I had to kill his hell cow."
Yeah, that was a really cool team.
Oh, man. I'm just sitting there watching when Jakeem died. I'm like, I'm going to have to send in results with a hell cow on the top, aren't I?
Yeah. And I said it to him too, though, that like, if he beats me with that team, I'm kind of really cool about it. Like to see something that original and thought out. You can't feel bad when someone comes up with something creative like that.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it's one of those things right now. A lot of people feel the meta's a little rough because of Mr. Thunder. He is not unbeatable, but he is difficult to beat. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But overall, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have to go that direction.
Yeah, but like overall, we've all experienced states provincials. We all know the man exists. How do you guys feel about the current state of the metagame? We're about to go into the new rules at the end of this month. So are we going to be happy to see Outwit actually be an option against him? Are we worried about the state of the meta once the new rules come in? Do you think something else is going to show up and be more dominant? Let's start with Mike. What do you think about that?
This Mike?
Which one?
Sorry, Mike White. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm torn as always. I'm kind of always of two minds. I'm excited for the new rules. I really do think that we need some changes to come along. I am excited to see Outwit as an option to mess with Yakeem because builds outside of him. But I'm already worried about Doc Ock. I'm already worried about the fact that Outwit now becomes more potent, and I'm worried that now Doc Ock is going to be the guy that we see all over the place with that whole Overdrive and Sam Wilson, or I'm worried that it's going to be some other replacement repetitive thing. But I'm excited for change. I like change.
Okay, fair enough. Mike P.
Yeah, I gathered you're not going to ask him again. I am excited to see what's going to happen. I have no solid idea. I mean, I've got some ideas, but I don't. I'm trying to humble myself and take it as it comes, which sounded really bad after I said it. But and innuendo-y, tons of innuendos in there. But I think that versus fully loaded Jakeem, like as a very specific example, because fully loaded Jakeem is the meta, sort of. You need to have stealth busting with that Outwit for it to do anything. Like it's.
Yeah, because we got Yakeem Supreme.
Yeah, Yakeem Supreme with cheese. Oh man, I don't know if it's gonna do enough to him to really kind of make him normal. We've talked about it lots of times, like, oh, he's a very good figure, he's reasonable, but now we're seeing that he really is this, and it's not for the first time at this point, but we're seeing that he is the dominant force, and he's half the field in many instances. Half the team and half the field. Outwit's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really not looking forward to what Poison is becoming.
Yeah. Jay, your thoughts?
I feel like we're just going to be in the current state of what we have, trading one stale meta for another, given how insanely strong the Doc Oxygen Syndicate, et cetera, team is going to be. Between if you're running 2 Doc Ox, that's 2 Outwits already. You throw in Chameleon, that turns into Peggy. All the powers are gone. It's just a matter of making the attack rolls hit. But then again, we do have a whole set with Thor coming out with all the stuff and the equipment. So even if the characters aren't as relevant, we're going to see so much new equipment. So who knows? But Right now, I'm not looking forward to it as much as I would hope. I am looking forward to actually reading the new rule book. I'm also happy that I don't have to play the next major event because I'm judging at the Canada Cup. So you all can worry about your teams.
Fair enough. I'm kind of split on Jakeem's situation right now, given that a lot of people are playing him, which means, a lot of people are going to end up winning with him because of how many people are using him. Is that a reflection of how good he is, or just how strong the figure is and how easy it is to turn to him? Those are like kind of the two questions you got to look at yourself and ask. There are a number of venues where Jakeem Thunder did not win. Is that a reflection of the locale because he is a super rare prime? These are all kinds of questions that roll through my head. I don't feel uncomfortable with him out there because I don't feel like I'm automatically lost with him across the board. I feel like there is still a level of play enough. Like we're not talking about a Faust level of meta or a Ghost Rider level of meta where I'm still allowed to play Heroclix in order to try to get this Jakeem Thunder down there. He is a really tough figure to get down, which is why a lot of people are using him. He's very intuitive as far as ease of use. And of course, when you give good players agency over what a character is going to have, the character is going to seem significantly more broken. It's one of the topics that I do definitely agree with. Rochelle, in that case, we've had a back and forth in regards to it. We are playing another back and forth as well, but it's another story for another day. We've gone over the States. We've gone over the past. Now it's time to look to the future, guys. New stuff is actually starting to show up on the horizon. We're starting to see our first look at some of the figures from the Mighty Thor. And let's start with the first look at a generic, the Hatut Zorazi. This is a Wakandan soldier, real name varies, so it kind of signifies that it is a generic of sorts. He's got a special movement power, cloaking tech, and energy dampening boots. Now, this is our first look at a lot of the features of the new easier ruling. He's got sidestep stealth and ignores elevated terrain, but only to move to a lower elevation. Notice the lack of the word can use in front of these to kind of clean up the wording. He ignores hindering terrain on a regular basis. And he's got a special defense power, which gives him toughness and impervious, but the impervious only works when he's targeted by a ranged attack. He's got running shot and ranged combat expert. He starts with a ranged combat expert, ends with the running shot. His damage goes up to 3 towards the end. He's got 2 damage, 50 points. Mike, what do you think of the Hatut Zorazi? This is Mike White.
He's okay. Like nothing that jumped out at me that made him seem super special. Sure, sidestep and stealth is always beneficial to reposition sort of in and out of hindering. Ignores hindering when moving, so that's nice too. Some range combat expert, so repositioning to maybe get that damage boost, and of course you want to be at range for impervious. I could maybe find a way to build a Wakanda team that highlights him. There are some interesting combinations with that keyword and some of the other generics. So I will definitely play him on a theme team at some point in time. Look at him as being meta at all, though.
Okay. Mike?
Just kind of reminds me of some of the Shredder tech or the Foot Clan guys a little bit. Yep. Maybe that's because it looks like he might be see-through, superficially. But yeah, as Mike was saying, I don't see this as being particularly meta. I mean, it's good. It's pretty good. But more for funsies,
Fair enough. Jay?
Casual.
Very quick one-word thing. I have to look at Wakabi again to see how much I like them. What I do like about this, though, is with all the powers and et cetera that we see, one of the big things that's highlighted is how very few words they need to describe how powers work now. And I do like how it's kind of cleaned this up. This would be can use sidestep and stealth, can use ignore elevated terrain, can use toughness, can use impervious, but only like the lack of those words just really cleans up the wording. I'm not digging my way through it. And I kind of like that a lot. Just a small observation. But the next thing we have to look into is the Design Insight article. Now, roughly, they're cleaning up some things about equip because guess what? The set's going to have a lot of equipment in it. They've already announced that there's going to be a bunch of weapons, etc. So in order to clean up some things, they've added this new indestructible key phrase. Basically, they're taking the phrasing where it says this object can only be KO'd by using it in an object attack or by its own effect and just saying it's indestructible. pretty easy, right? Single word key phrasing is always good to clean up a lot of things, especially if this key phrasing can be found in the rulebook. And then, of course, there's the equip, de-equip, equip friendly, where only friendly characters are allowed to carry the object, and equip any, where any character on the board, if they can get to it, gets that object. And, of course, there's the unequipped key phrase, which is, again, much like an equip, a power action to either KO it or an unequipped drop in order to drop it in the character square. And, of course, this came with a preview. Our first look at a chase in the set, we have Thunderstrike. He's got Asgardian and Avengers keywords. His real name is Eric Masterson. He is the wielder of Thunderstrike. We'll get to that in a second, but he starts with Thunderstrike equipped to him. Next, he's got Sacrifice Thunderstrike to destroy the Blood Axe. When Thunderstrike is KO'd, you may choose an equipment object that started the game on your force and one that started the game on an opponent's force. If you do, remove both objects from the game, even if they are equipped. Now, it's noted specifically equipment object. It's probably just to make sure that we know what we're talking about in regards to this. You're not going to be able to take character equips off with this. He's got a special damage power, which he has in his first 3 clicks. The world still needs heroes. Empower enhancement. Each time a friendly character attacks while having their damage a value modified by one of these. Modify Thunderstrike's attack by +1 this turn. And then you see his stats here. He's got a 19 defense on the first 2 clicks. Next 3 are 18. 17 on the last 2. Indomitable, flying, a lot of close combat-based powers. And then before we get into Thunderstrike, very quickly, let's look at his hammer that he starts with, because he also has these powers. The Thunderstrike is equipped, indestructible, equip any, unequipped drop. His effect, Force Blast, Leap Climb. When this character knocks back an opposing character at least 1 square after resolutions, heal this character 1 click. Whew, that is potent. And this all, of course, came with a generic version of Thunderstrike, which is a mace, which just gives knockback, equip any, unequipped drop. All right, so Thunderstrike in combination with Thunderstrike. Mike Payne, what do you think of this, our first look at the chase?
Looks so nice of you to call on me. It's funny, off the actual dial itself, I had his first comic and second comic and a few of them afterwards. Not that he had that many in that run, but I just remember Juggernaut in in issue 2 ripping a fire truck in half. That was a lot of fun. Good sigh there, Jay. Appreciate that.
That was a cough.
Oh, well. Looking at the dial, I mean, he's 125 points, correct, with the object itself?
Well, if he starts the game with it equipped, I'm not sure. I don't think he has to pay for it.
Yeah, I don't think he has to pay for it either.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, I like him with the object for sure. It makes him much harder to kill, just with the self-healing as well as the knockback, etc. And his high defense numbers off the top 2 clicks there. Yeah, I mean, nothing's really standing out as that crazy, but maybe I'm just not seeing it because this is actually my first time actually looking at him. Yeah, each time a friendly character attacks while having their damage value modified, that's pretty good. Yeah, that damage power is not bad.
Okay, before I put my foot further in my mouth, there may be a discrepancy in the wording on Thunderstrike versus Cap. The Captain America from the starter set that was featured in another channel's video, it's a tabletop teacher, got the starter early, and I believe the Cap said you can add the object at no cost to your team, so you may actually have to pay for a Thunderstrike, so you may be correct, it may be 125 points. I guess you're gonna have to clarify this, because
even if it's 125, it's still fun to play us, I think.
Yeah, I like it. Jay?
I was also looking forward to getting him because we're getting the Infinity War soon and whatever, and he was Thor at the time of Infinity Gauntlet, so sometimes I read comics. He looks very, very, very fun for your casual beat stick, especially with that dial at that cost. It's like, the problem is that he does a thing and he does it well, but that role just doesn't really make its way into the competitive scene, no matter how slightly undercosted he is. You know, it's like we don't need that role, at least right now. So possible future, maybe, especially with all that empower enhancement stats and how good the hammer is. but he's also going to be worth getting for competitive players because of the hammers. So I like him.
Okay. Mike White.
I kind of like him. Obviously, I have to see the rest of the set to see what kind of other characters come with the Asgardian keyword. Because when I'm looking at that special power of his on damage, I think he could be interesting in a more like Swarm team. You get a bunch of lower point Asgardians on there. They all make some attacks before him. They don't really care about whether or not they're hitting and doing damage if they're just trying to soup up his attack. Heavy in his hand as well. He can be fun. I don't think he's going to be meta, even if he's only 115 points with the object on him. But I think he could win you some local tournaments in a sort of mid-range competitive environment, if that makes sense. And I definitely think he could be a fun centerpiece of an Asgardian team.
You started talking about Asgardian as a keyword for him, and I started thinking about Avengers, thinking to myself with the Wasp that we have from Avengers that has Psychic Blast with 2 damage, make it a 3 damage, regardless of whether or not I hit. I'm going to take that Wasp with me because that Wasp also has leadership. So there's a lot of potential with this guy. Unfortunately, that Wasp only comes with, I think, a 4 or 5 ranger self. So, but a couple of those next to him, trying to shoot, get his attack up to a 14. Attack, knockback, heal if I'm taking some damage.
That's really what I was thinking about, is just having some kind of opportunity to make those early attacks just to get that attack up huge.
Yeah. All right. Now, I do want to take Thunderstrike away from Thunderstrike and say, oh my gosh, I'm talking myself in circles here. What do you guys think of the hammer, the Thunderstrike hammer itself, and even the mace while we're talking about? The mace is simple, 2 points, knockback. We got Thunderstrike, which is 10 points, and what it does. Would you guys bring these without Thunderstrike on your team? In a post-resource world, which we're seeing probably come next Worlds.
Yeah, why not? I mean, 10 points to put knockback on people when they're attacking, right? Because if you've got Force Blast, when you hit with a close attack, you do knockback, or is it all attacks do?
It's all attacks with Force Blast, unless they're changing it with the new rules. So, given the current iteration we have, yes.
Yeah, and based on the current iteration, isn't there a minimum that you get knockback of 2?
Well, the knockback coming from Force Blast itself. You're thinking of Quake, which is an automatic knockback at 2. Force Blast just deals knockback when it's damage dealt. So whatever the damage being dealt.
So assuming I hit with an attack and I do at least like a damage to you, well, then I'm going to heal, and you're also going to be farther away from me. All right, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. Mike?
Close combat attack.
I would use it. I think that I would use it. I mean, it'll all depend on points economy and everything else and whatever's hot at the time. I'm not sure if I'd use it right away, like when it comes out. I do like the fact that I'm not sure if Mike already said this, but I do like the fact that you don't need super strength in order to equip it because it says any.
Yep.
You do need super strength, of course, to pick it up, but that's fine. It's a nice limitation. It's interesting, but I don't think that would be necessarily immediately obvious to anybody who is just entering the new rules.
Yeah. I think it'd be especially interesting on someone like the Ray, who could running shot hit multiple people, do knockback to multiple people, and then heal multiple times.
Oh boy. When this character knockbacks and it's triggered on each individual one, I guess. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I like that idea. Jay? Jay, unmute.
Unmuted, buddy.
Hi, sorry.
Hilarious.
Whether or not it is just good or super fantastic, awesome, amazing comes down to whether or not you can multi-heal. Because the wording, as far as I know right now, if multiple things trigger after actions resolve, you only get one of them, right?
Maybe, yeah, you might be right on that one, because it is after because if it knocks back, well, it says if it knocks back an opposing character as one lingering trigger.
Yeah, so if it somehow it looks like it's only one healing, but if you can pulse wave just heal a Jakeem all the way back to top, especially in this Pog world we're living in. Hey, I'm on click 8. Oh, okay. Now I'm about to. Oh, hi.
if I see a Jakeem arm a Thunderstrike, I'm outwitting Pulse Wave. I don't care if he's picking it. Little bit of prevention just ahead of time, which is gonna be great about outwit. Mace 2 points, guys. And the generic objects, from what Amber has been informed of or seems to be telling me, the generic ones are just going to come as super boosters. They're not going to factor into sealed at all. But any opinions? 2 points. I guess it's a decent enough filler. It's no
Sure.
It's no PIM particles, but it's there.
Yeah, sure. All right.
All right.
You know, that's really kind of it. You build the team and you're at 298 and you're like,
You know what my Pulse Wave could use?
Knockback
To kill El Jordan.
I think it could be really fun to mix these size change a Retaliator into normal size, equip that, then retaliate. That could be really silly.
Oof. Yeah. I like it. I like it a lot. A lot of things that can go this way. All right. There it is. That's the Mace. We've seen our first little bits of Thor. I'm kind of excited about the set. Even if I don't end up liking a lot of the characters, the weapons are starting to get very intriguing already. Just the possibilities behind all of them, it's really smile-inducing for me. So, and I'm also noticing a lack of specifically noting close combat in any of these. How is a Mace helping my range get my knockback? I don't care. I love it. But game design frictions. Did I say that loud? Oh, man, something in my throat. All right. But on that note, guys, it's time to get to our fan question. But before we get to that, I just want to remind everybody, patreon.com/Heroclix. If you want to support us a little bit directly, any amount helps in the long run. And any amount gets you access to both our patron hangout, which is actually going to be this Friday evening around 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as access to our patron-only Discord channel, where the lot of us who are regular to the channel, and I'm going to get you a link to it eventually, Mike. We'll kind of jump in, communicate with you guys in some way. I do personally run a pre-show and post-show to the Metal Lab. If these guys want to jump in, I won't complain about it. They have access to the Discord as well. So if you're interested in that specifically, check us out at patreon.com/Heroclix to find out how. All right. So we first start with our Facebook questions. If you guys are watching live right now, and there's quite a few of you watching live, which I'm really excited about, please put capital letters question in front of your question ahead of time. I'm going to start with the Facebook, and then we're going to get into the chat if anybody has any questions for us before we get in there. And Chris Stockhouse is re-asking you the question that we missed from last week, so I got to make it official. Got to get the stamp that he has provided us with it. I got to get something to stamp. It's an official episode, guys. It's on. All right. Sorry for putting my question in the wrong spot last week. I'll try to ask it again today. Is it too difficult to run a team that is a very specific counter to something? For example, Space Leo taking away entities. Seems like when you don't get the right matchups, you're playing from behind at that point. One of the things I'm going to say about Space Leo is he's cool, but you got to find a way to make sure that he's not reliant on that equip effect, because you're spending 75 points to get rid of 25 points. The 75 points now has to work for another 50 points. So yeah, you're still kind of playing from behind on your investment. You are ahead on the 25 points, but you still got to get 50 more points to make the investment worth it. He can kill a 50-point character very easily, but if you don't get it off the top, which is a little bit higher than a 50-50, because he has to. I believe you have to not lose, or they have to not win, something like that, in order to get it popped off. So it's one of those things, and his dial itself, unfortunately, doesn't lend itself to saying, yeah, I definitely want to invest in a Space Leo, because not only do I get this, I get this. He's kind of he's a character that's range combat-y, kind of okay, and he could get rid of a thing. It's kind of the way I look at it. I don't know. Mike,
new leadership will make him better.
New leadership will make him a little better. Does he start with that leadership, Space Leo?
Yeah, I think so.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Just ask Jay. He knows.
Comes
He knows
Jay.
all the things.
I can't see his face, but I'm pretty sure it looks like this. Mr. White, do you have anything you want to add to the topic there?
The problem is if you do pigeonhole yourself too much, if you're so focused on facing one strategy and you don't have a cover for other things, well, like you said, you're going to be matched up against a variety of teams. You can't be sure what you're going to see. Have outs. So, yeah, you don't want to put yourself that pigeonhole.
All right. Jay?
I'm going to say the same thing about Space Leo as I'll say about running Mr. Nobody right now because of Overdrive, and that is better suited is your friend. If you don't face the counter, or if you don't face that team, Leo is not pulling his weight in the current environment, unfortunately. So have a backup. But yeah, there's a lot of equipment now. I mean, Jakeem with Eclipso, you just never have to worry about picking defense powers, is a thing. Proteus is always a thing to be concerned about. So yeah, he's worth considering, but just have that sort of backup, or be sure that he'll be able to pull his weight, because that dial on its own, without considering the trait, is not quite there.
All right, cool. All right, next up, Stephen Clark Jr. asks, I was watching an episode on the Patreon Hangout where we were talking Skrull Spider-Man. It reminded me of the time where I used Skrull Wolverine to beat Sentry and Void Duo when it first came out. I came in Michigan States with my Goblin King and the Jakeem Thunder team, got top 4. There was only 16 people, so I know it's not a big deal. But it was my first time getting top 4. Mini Shredder and Claw Shredder is tough together with Overdrive and Clarion. Sorry for the long comment. His question, can Space Leo, when he's using his take away any equipment, mix his pit leg to replace a die power with it? Does his power say can't be rerolled? Because if it doesn't, then it looks like you'll be safe. Though I don't know about the beginning of the game thing. I have to look at the wording on that specifically. JD,
would depend on when that happens.
Leo actually says can't be rerolled.
Okay, Leo says can't be rerolled. So immediately, boom, there it is. You cannot use Mr. Mix's pit leg's dice with that because it explicitly says it can't affect powers that can't be rerolled.
Hypothetically, though, even if it could, I'm not quite sure, because Mixie's first dies at the beginning of the game, and Leo says begins the game equipped.
Or whenever a character becomes equipped. You see,
Yeah.
two differences. It could be a character starting with equipment on it, or during the game, we have the symbiote out there that people are using.
That's true.
So. All right, that was a rules question. Next up, KJ Foster. Jay played Joker. What would you change anything on that team? Well, Jay's directed at you, so go ahead. Is there anything you would change on that team? Then we'll all rip you and make fun of you.
Sadly, the only thing I could change was based on physically having access to stuff. Like how I did not have the Nightwing ID, which would have made a fair amount of difference in some stuff, like just getting the Perplex for call-ins, because I don't really have much of that. And the support for Chair Joker is not always necessary, but could have been more helpful. And I didn't have much in the way of close combat call-ins. So I also found that I didn't get as much use of Swordsman as I would have liked to. So if I had access to Nightwing, I would have wanted to put Nightwing ID in there instead. And I would have probably changed Peggy for Hawkeye Chase if that was available. But of course, it was not available, so I couldn't do it. But that was pretty much the only thing I think I would have changed. The only other consideration, really, is if I go with Joker Thug instead, because he has the not Mastermind thing to be doubly protected if they get rid of my Mastermind. But I felt like, Chris Smotherman already asked me this, I felt like the benefits of the regular Thug were just so much better than that one thing that the Joker Thug does. So other than that, I was pretty happy with the team and how it ended up outside of my actual execution of it.
All right. Mike Payne, is there anything you would change about Jay's team?
That's Jay's team, no. I think it's pretty damn good. I like it the way it was. There's some pretty clear counters to it, but I mean, if you want to maintain the idea of the team, I don't think there's much you can do better.
Cool. Mike?
No, I faced Jay's team in practicing, and I thought it was a pretty effective team. I had a lot of difficulty with it. So
I would personally change the rules to the new rules and use Joker legs.
Sorry, and use what?
and used the Joker Lex to him. I changed the rules to the new rules and used the Joker Lex to it. That's the joke I was saying. No, but your team was good. I mean, you beat me in the second round there in Quebec, so you're able to stem the tide of me knocking you back with my green arrow.
Oh my god, that was
every time I think of that, it was like even my good rolls let me down.
Yeah, I'm really wondering now if that team is better, worse, or basically the same with new rules.
Okay.
I'm debating whether or not it's even worth playing. But that stupid Force Blast Hammer is like, oh, hey, your Mastermind fodder is all the way over there now. Thanks. Okay, bye. GG.
All right, one last question before we hit the road here, guys. Happy Little Heroclix asks, what are your thoughts on possible Elseworlds Green Lantern super exploits that with bringing characters back? Resurrect that Hell Cow on click number 1. So yeah, the idea, this idea has kind of presented itself because you could be on that click through the course of the game. You may not have hit it, but you could have been on that click.
Yeah.
And because it's a click you technically kind of paid for to a certain degree, ideally, yeah, you could bring Hell Cow to click 1. The trick is, first, Hell Cow's got to die. And second, Hell Cow is going away after that. So that turn has to be worth it and worth the loss of the 50 points in the first place.
It's a lot of setup just for that.
Yeah. The more and more I see that Tangent Green Lantern working, the more and more I see you have to specifically do a certain number of things. Devins was very clever using the Zatara with it, nuking his Zatara with the 4 damage pulse wave, bringing it back, nuking again. That's a scary outlook to me. That's kind of the way I see it. Is you got to be able to build with something that you're willing to lose, so that you can get the payback for it. Mike, White, do you share the sentiment or disagree? Or
no, I totally agree. Like I like the idea of the character. I think in some situations it could be fantastic. Again, that Zatara idea was great. I'm far away from her, and that's why I had to kill her. It's also not bad for the Colossal Retaliators to pop them back on the map for a second Colossal Retaliate, because they've only got the 1 click anyway. You know, but playing, it's difficult again, right? Like playing to the strategy of being in this situation to bring this person back, and it's so situational that you pigeonhole yourself. You can't be so linear. Because the game is about randomness often. It's randomness about the person you play against. It's randomness about the way the dice go. So you got to leave yourself open.
Yeah, I played with her on the team that I was originally going to play at States Provincials this weekend to pretty decent effect. However, on half of the matchups that I faced, she didn't do anything. Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't like giving away points. Now, if it's intentional, then why not play with the new 15-point Pogs and a Morlock with Proteus on it and a whole bunch of those things. I mean, yeah, the Hell Cow idea where you bring her back at her top click for 1 turn, cool. You can probably kill something with that 1 turn, but that's a hell of a lot of setup just for that because she's, I don't know.
They got to be willing to put the work into Hell Cow early.
Yeah, you got to work it.
2 stop clicks, right?
Yeah.
Jay, your thoughts?
Are we sure that that's actually how that works? Because the whole phrasing on her is entirely new language. I haven't seen a rules clarification on how that actually works.
Yeah, we need to see a clarification, but it's the whole idea that could have been on. So at some point she could have been on that click. It's not that it has been on or anything like that. We talked about this with the KCs as well, right? You bring them in at the 35-point or their low point line, depending on which one it is, and then they leave, and you bring them back for a turn. What, on click 1? No, you can't, because they couldn't have been on that click.
But they could have been on their last click.
Yeah.
You actually can't resurrect them, period, because the rules form said that because they're 30 points, they have the trait that they can't start the game adjacent. So you can't actually do that in the first place.
Yeah, they defy it just based on contradiction. That's cool. I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
the KCs have so many weird interactions. But those vampire dials, like, what do we like? If we're talking just vampires, we have Hell Cow, who's already such a liability in the current game at 50 points. And then a Green Arrow could theoretically just bust right through that, and then you have Looker, who's never playable under any circumstances. She's a good idea. I think she has a future. I just don't know if I see it yet.
I was using her for Dormammu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like her
and that
mind
worked well.
game where it's like, do I kill her when she has no damage output, or do I not deal with her and then she does her thing, right? So it's one of those mind game pieces. But I don't know if she's necessarily a right now piece, but maybe when we get those new Retaliators, who knows? That seems like her perfect role. So I think there's a future there.
All right. Awesome. Guys, thank you very much for your questions. Thank you very much for joining us this week, Mike White. And thank you for being on the show with me, my other fellas. The quick little outro, guys. I want to thank our sponsors over at hcrealms.com, one of the premier Heroclix site. Who are we kidding? The premier site for Heroclix when it comes to the game. They got the forums. This is where the conversation is happening. This is where people are talking about things. Check out the homepage. There's all kinds of neat articles, casual play, competitive play. They got the Clixed cast, which posts there on a regular basis. Check out the unit section. It is the supreme tool for building your teams, tracking your collection. It is fantastic. Getting an account on the site is absolutely free. You can build to your heart's content, and they're pretty quick lately, especially about getting things up there and getting all kinds of neat stuff on the site. Check out the ROC section. Find out when your local ROC events are. In fact, we have the ROC Canada Cup coming up in September. Mike, quick date on that one?
16th. September
16th at 401 Games in Toronto. More will be coming up in
only.
the following weeks. One day. As well, they got the high trader to trade your stuff, and there is a shop. And while you're in the shop, put in the coupon code MARRIED for 10% off of your purchase. This is where you can get the ROC maps if you're joining in ROC events. They are illegal there. Some cool T-shirts, all kinds of neat stuff that you can get there. Put in the coupon code MARRIED, get 10% off your purchase, and a little bit goes to help the channel. As well, we're brought to you by MajesticCCG.com/Apex-Insiders, where you can get all sorts of shares from all sorts of great minds in the game of Heroclix. Oops, is that my article? That's right, my tournament report from the 2017 ROC Provincials in Quebec, Canada is there. Find out how I did, what I did, and who I had to play against. Also, great players like Adam Friedman, PJ Bolin, Paris Gordon J is a regular contributor there, more regular than me. I have occasional articles as well. Most recently was my area of disinterest. A lot of my stuff is in reference to episodes of the show I've done. I'll expand on it or just put it in words because some people like to read more than like to watch my ugly face go. So check that out. $3 a month, MajesticCCG.com/Apex-Insiders. Guys, it has been a great weekend playing in the States and Provincials, 2 weekends even. A lot of us did fairly well, and a lot of it came from all this stuff that we do called practice. Because practice
makes. Sorry.
Team.
Oh, wait for it. Better. Even got your typical photo box. Congratulations, Mike White, on your championship at the Championships in Ontario. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Good night.